Great. So, hi everyone. Today, I'm really happy to welcome you on our webinar, iOS Developer. Uh, and as I said, today and tomorrow we make two free online classes at 6 p.m. Pacific time, what is 9 p.m. Eastern time. And today we will speak about state of iOS development, and tomorrow we will make more practical class and we will code on Swift UI. And the webinar are presented by Programming School Black Screen AI, and we have like more than 7 years of experience in IT field, in educational field, and we have a lot of graduates who already found their offer in IT in America and are working in American projects. And here we have our YouTube channel. If you're interested, I will send you a link on our YouTube here in Zoom chat, so you can go and watch and listen of the stories of our students who are already developers. And here you see companies our graduates have been hired by. Just choose one for your motivation and choose where you want to get your first job offer. Maybe it will be Walt Disney, I don't know, or Google or Amazon. Why not? And yes, let's start about the webinar, about our main topic. And I give the floor to our speaker, Alan. Please take the floor. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Let me go ahead and get the presentation up and running. 1 second, please.
Yes, of course.
Find it. Oh, there it is. Slideshow. There we go. I've got the state of iOS on. Can everybody see the screen? I just want to make sure. I can't see any. No, I'm not sharing the screen. Hang on a second. I need to share the screen. Sorry, this is it's a little late for me here on the East Coast. I apologize. I want to share this one. And we're going to make it full screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see and hear you clearly.
Okay, just want to make sure. Fire it up. There we go. All right, that's what I wanted to see. Thanks for the introduction, Mary. My name is Alan Evans. I've been doing iOS development for 14 years. I started in 2010. I've done work for a lot of different companies. I've done a lot of different apps. I couldn't fit it all on the screen, so I just hit the highlights here. It's been an interesting 14 years. I've seen a lot of things happen. A couple different languages, couple different a couple different UI paradigms. So I heard Mary mention Swift UI earlier. There were a couple other ways to do things back in the day. So it's been a very interesting path, and I continue to learn every day. So that's something you should always want to do when you're getting involved in tech, is want to be able to learn every day. That'll get you far. All right. Before we start talking about the state of iOS development and what you need to get started and the things that will help you along that journey, let's see how far we've come here. I mean, the original iPhone, you look at these specs, and it's pretty measly compared to our current state-of-the-art iPhone 15 there. Apple, year by year, has incrementally improved and expanded on iPhone functionality. And there's no reason to think that's going to not continue. There's going to be a need for, not just iPhone development, but there's iPad, TV OS, Apple TV, the Watch, Apple Watch, and the new Vision Pro goggles. So yeah, they're always improving. There's always going to be a need for people to be able to work on this platform. Originally, when everything was introduced, our friend Steve Jobs over here wanted everybody to make web apps and have them run on the Safari browser you see over here. That was not really what people wanted. I don't have a light on. My light didn't turn on. Is that better? Can you see me better? There we go. Forgot to turn the light on. Sorry about that. So web apps were not met with very much fanfare. People did not want to do that. They wanted to build native apps for the phone, and what they did was they figured out how to do it on their own by jailbreaking or figuring out, reverse engineering what the phone was doing and making it happen on their own. I can remember some people doing that. It was an interesting time. I didn't get too involved. I learned a couple of things there, but by the time I saw that, it was the iPhone SDK, the development kit that we use today, was announced. So it's been around for 16 years. We were initially not allowed to talk about it with anybody, which was interesting because the way you learn things is by talking about things with people. So eventually that got taken out. So we were able to actually discuss it freely amongst each other. It was kind of a very interesting time when that first got started. And of course, why wouldn't you have what would you have the SDK for? You want to be able to make apps, but what would you do with them? That's right, the App Store. A few months later, that's opened up. Initially to a few developers, but eventually everybody got let in. And as time has gone on, it's turned out to be a fairly good idea. I mean, Apple. I don't think the iPhone would be what it is today without the App Store. I assume all of you have. Do you all have? We all have iPhones. Show of hands. We'll press the hand button there. Yeah. Okay. Definitely helpful doing this work. So what do you need? Well, I think we start with a Mac. Xcode, the development environment that we'll talk about in the next slide. You're going to need I would say it would be good to have a fairly recent Mac. I mean, in the last few years is fine, especially the Apple Silicon ones, the M-based chips, M1, M2, M whatever. The older x86s still work, but for how long is debatable. We don't. Apple revs things every year. They want new stuff every year. They again incrementally improving everything, including the computers. So. I personally have a 2-year-old MacBook Air, which works fine for this work. You could probably 3, 4. You'll find what you need, though. There's always a place to find what you need that's going to meet your budget. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. But you do need a Mac. It's required. Now, to do the actual work, you need to use Xcode, which is the development environment, the IDE for doing iOS work. And you can get it from the Mac App Store. It's pretty easy to download. And if you're going to be participating in tomorrow's webinar and coding along, definitely get your hands on Xcode and kind of get a feel for it beforehand, so you don't have to try to figure it out on the fly. You could use a phone if you wanted to. You can basically there's a simulator. See, I mentioned a simulator. There's a simulator that runs with Xcode that you can test apps on, but at some point you're going to want to use a real device. Some things like location and other and things like motion are better tested on the device than the simulator. So you're going to want a device at some point. And I have an older phone. I don't upgrade every year. I can't. It's too draining financially. I don't really want to spend money on the phones. Especially when the new phones cost as much as a laptop. It's pretty stunning what they cost. Oops, there we go. I was scrolling on the mouse. Can't do that. Another optional thing is the Apple Developer account, which gives you access to the Apple Developer Portal, and will allow you to basically test apps on your phone. So without the account, you should be able to build and run on the simulator without any problems. If you want to put it on a device, you need to have one of these accounts, either an individual or business account. It's $99 it's not necessarily cheap, but it's a good investment in your future. Having a development account, even if you don't have any plans for the App Store. It also gives you access to the App Store. I didn't mention that in the slides. You'll probably add that for future webinars. This will give you access to the App Store, so you'll be able to create an app and actually upload it to the App Store and distribute it that way if you want to. So it's definitely worth the $99 for that. Other tools that we use, I'm going to show you these later. Actually, I'll show them to you after we talk about them. I use a thing called Xcodes. That's plural, CDS. It's a tool that lets me have multiple versions of Xcode installed on my machine, so I can switch between them to see if having a different version of Xcode solves a particular problem I'm having. And it's also very helpful, especially this time of year when all the beta stuff is happening. Lets me test things I'm working on against the beta versions of Xcode and the beta versions of iOS. To make sure that the things that are working now work work in the future when that version of Xcode, that version of iOS is released. So it's a worthwhile tool. We'll look at it in just a second. You also want to control your source code. You want to keep you want to be able to track changes, be able to roll back if you need to, things like that. And Git is basically the basis for all the distributed source code controls that you see today. It's the de facto standard in the industry. You can use the terminal, which we'll talk about in a second, to run terminal commands to access Git. I use a thing called Tower, which is a GUI for the Git command line stuff, and it makes everything visual. We'll see that also. GitHub is a place where you store basically it's kind of usually people keep their source of truth or their known good development tree stored in GitHub, and they pull from that and they push back to it when they've created a new version of their app. And the terminal, you've probably seen that if you worked on the Mac. It's it's the green screen thing. You can run not only can you run Git commands there, but there's all kinds of developer tools that rely on the terminal. And I think that's a little beyond the scope of our talk tonight, but you'll encounter uses of the terminal in your day-to-day when you start working as an iOS developer. Let's stop there. Are there any questions? I mean, I want to make sure I don't go too fast here. If you got a question, raise your hand. Press the little hand button. I've got a lot of people here. All right. I don't see questions. All right. We'll pick up on questions at the end also. I've allocated plenty of time for you to ask me questions. There are no bad questions. I will take any question you have. All right, everybody's still muted. All right, cool. Let's go on. There are other ways to build besides using it. Well, you end up using Xcode basically to compile some of this stuff. But there are other ways to create apps for iOS, especially a lot of companies want to leverage tools so they can build apps for both iOS and Android. I briefly mentioned here because you're going to encounter them as an iOS developer out there in the world. So let's talk about them. We've got React Native, which is a Facebook Meta framework. It uses JavaScript to basically compile back to create the mobile app. Microsoft changed the name of their Xamarin. I must have done it a while ago because I didn't notice it. Something called .NET MAUI. So it's basically using C# and their Visual Studio tools to do the compiling. Google has a thing called Flutter. The OpenJS Foundation has Electron. Those are both JavaScript based. The one on the bottom is kind of interesting. It's more focused on iOS and modern Swift UI development. It takes your Swift UI stuff and basically translates it into a Android app using open source libraries that Skip has created for doing basically for doing a parallel development at the same time. You can basically when you set it up properly, you have a simulator for both iOS and Android. You compile and run, and it comes up in both of them. It's pretty cool to see. Worth investigating if you have time and if you have the inclination. It's one of those things where you have to install from the command line. But it's about one of the easiest command line things I've seen to install as far as developer tools are concerned. So it's definitely worth a look. And we'll take a quick look at their websites in a bit here. So you're probably here because you want to make an app, right? Anybody? No? Yeah, you want to build something. So, I find that when I build something for myself, I get really motivated. If I have an idea and I want it sort of scratches an itch, it gets me going on actually creating an app. Yeah, there are a lot of jobs out there that require this skill set, but you can. I think you acquire the skills more quickly and more deeply when you build something for yourself. It's definitely definitely what I would do if I had a chance, if I was starting again. And of course, like any other thing, you want to write down what you want your app to accomplish. You know, call it a problem statement, call it an outline, you can call it whatever you want to, but you want to have an idea of what you want your first version to do and how you want it to work. It's also, especially if you're considering putting it in the App Store, taking a look there to see if there's anybody else that's built something similar. You want to see if you have a unique take on your idea, or if you have if you can do something different that might give you some sort of edge in the App Store. The App Store is pretty crowded, so you really need to make it stand out. So that's something that you definitely need to do if you want to try to sell an app in the App Store. You want to make sure that you've got a unique value statement to show people. And of course, the last thing, you got to actually write it. They don't write themselves. I think it's hard to believe, but no, these apps just don't pop up out of nowhere. You got to really put the work in. And by doing that, you're going to gain skills that you can take with you and market to whomever needs them. Wow, I got to the demo already. That was fast. Yeah, who wants me to do a quick demo? I got no hands. No one wants me to do a demo. Come on. I can't see everybody. Oh, I got one hand. All right, that's good enough. All right. Well, let's make an app. Let's see about making an app real quick. Oops, I got two hands. That's excellent. That's excellent. We're gonna make a calculator, but I don't want to get too complicated because we only have a certain amount of time. We're going to just use numbers 1 and 2, and we're going to be able to add using those numbers. Sound good? All right. I'm going to drop out of the presentation. I'm going to go over all the stuff I showed you. I've got some windows open here on my computer. Can everybody see my computer? You see the screen okay, right? I'll go over this. These are let's go over these windows one at a time. I've got all of these third-party cross-platform frameworks. So you got React Native. That's I can't see because there's a thing there. React Native.dev, .net.microsoft.com /Maui. It's called Maui now. It's weird. I didn't name it. Flutter is Google's thing. Like I said, there's Electron, and then these are the skip tools. These are worth. I mean, if you're focusing on iOS stuff, this is worth looking at. Definitely worth looking at. Especially if you have a desire to build for both platforms. All right, we will close that window. Let's look at Xcodes. Xcodes is an app that lets you, like I said, you can have multiple versions of Xcode installed. I do work on an open source project that uses 15.2 still, so I still have that installed. And 15.3 and 15. 15.4 is the most current non-beta version of Xcode. We'll be using that for our quick demo. You can see they literally just released a demo today, yesterday. It's a new version, a new beta today. It released yesterday, August 6th. So that's Xcodes, and let's do about so you can see what the icon looks like. I'm pretty sure you can get this in the App Store. If not, you can search for it online. You'll find it. There's GitHub. That's my GitHub stuff. Okay, someone is off of mute.
David raised a hand. David, do you have a question?
Alan, you're muted.
Yes, sorry. So I did have a quick question. I know you were saying that Xcode, Swift, these are mainly things that are only used on the actual, like a Mac, like the Mac OS. if you don't have one, is there any like emulator or virtual machine that you can use on a Windows device that can still let you use Xcode, or you have to get like an Apple laptop to be able to really dive into this?
That's a good question, David. Thanks. Yeah, unfortunately, Apple does things so that the way they do things, they really kind of force you into the Apple ecosystem, which is, I know it's not ideal. I didn't, yeah, it's not necessarily the best thing for everybody. Back in the day, people used to build Hackintoshes. I don't know if you heard of those. Those worked. I used one for a while just to see if it worked, and it did. But especially with Apple's move away from Intel-based machines and over to they're basically their own Apple Silicon chips. I fear that the days of the Hackintosh are numbered, and that was really the only kind of way that you could use a non-Apple device to do this work. Yeah. Sorry about that, David. I apologize for Apple. Apple's Apple. What are you going to do?
I mean, if they can give me a nice coupon or donate an old Mac or something like that to me, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I would take a look at things like eBay and Craigslist and Marketplace and whatnot. You'll find people selling machines that are perfectly adequate for development. That are, you know, some people might consider too old, but they would work. So,
Okay. Oh, well, just a follow-up question. What would you say is too old of a Mac to really get into current day standards for coding?
that's a good question. I'm not sure what the cutoff is for the current version of Xcode. They do cut them off. It has to. It's basically, it's more based on what version of Mac OS will run on the machine than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Apple's got Apple's treadmill is far and wide. They run everything on it. Their mobile operating system, phones, laptops, everything. There's just, yeah. I personally don't think it's a particularly good thing to keep revving things every year and then pushing people to upgrade machines when they don't really, when they're, you know, basically they're perfectly fine for doing what you need to do.
Right.
And it's just an arbitrary. I consider it sort of arbitrary. You know, Apple and I have had a long relationship, and I sort of we agree to disagree quite a bit. Does that answer your question, David? I'm sorry I didn't have specifics.
No. That gives me something to look up. So I'll definitely look into that.
All right. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Oh, come on, someone else has to have a question. There are no bad questions. All right, let's continue with. I've been going over all the tools we have here. This is my GitHub repo. This is where I store stuff. Like I've got a sample that I've created some samples based on the Chicago library data, so they're publicly available. These are public repos. You can download them and look at them if you want to. And the idea is that I include that in my resume or CV to actually have, you know, I encourage people who want me to work with them to take a look at my work so that we have something to discuss. It doesn't happen very often. People are pretty busy, but it's there for them so they can do that. I like being able to discuss things I built. You could ignore this. That's a 3D project. I have it there for other reasons. All right, we'll move GitHub out of the way. What else do I have here? I've got Tower. Let's do the terminal first. I got the terminal over here, and I'm opened up into one of my projects. This is the Swift UI library project, and I can use Git commands on the terminal to get information. Like I can check the logs for the last 10 Git commits that I've done, uploading pieces of software. And it tells me all the things that I did. I updated the README. I refactored something. That's an awful lot of README updating there going on. There should be more. Oh, there's more. Yeah, this is a editor. So there we go. So I can look at it that way. There you go. We'll leave that alone. I haven't done. I haven't done get commands on the command line in a long time, so we'll leave that alone. But if I come back over here to my Swift UI libraries, you can see the same things here. I've got these little commits where I send things, these updates to my code up to GitHub, so that they're for me to pick up later if I need to, or if I want to share it with somebody else, like someone downloads it, they get this full history as well. All right, we'll hide that and hide that. We don't need this. What do we need? How about Xcode? Where's Xcode? There it is. Hey, look at that. We got Xcode. So in order for us to build an app, we should probably create a new project, right? We're going to create an app. I'm doing this quickly. I think you're going to get a more deep dive tomorrow night. So I'm going to do this quickly. We're going to make an app next. We'll call it Simple Calculator. Swift UI. Don't worry about all this stuff. You'll learn that tomorrow. I want it in my repos folder, which is, close that. Repos. Create. And it's creating a Git repository. And here we are. I'm not sure how far we're going to get with this. It's a simple app, but whoops, it's a pretty simple app. But you know, there's a certain amount of time. We've got another like 20 minutes, half an hour or so. Something you'll see is that you'll see previews. So this little spinner is spinning because it's trying to figure out what all this stuff is, and it's going to show us that in a second. Well, it's doing that. That's taking a while. You'll note, let's note there's I'm going to change it to, I got to change this to a simulator. So we're going to go, there's your preview. Let's go to a simulator. How about iPhone? Yeah, that's a mimic of the setup I have, iPhone 12 Pro Max. Okay. So you can see, here's the hello world text. It comes up here. There's an image. This is a system name. These are called SF symbols. And if I go to SF symbols, I get an app that, there it is. I can see all the names of SF symbols. If I want to change that, I don't want the world. Let's say I want to search for a building. So let's say that's building columns. So let's select that. Okay, it's telling us what we can use it in. All right, that's interesting. Let's copy that name. Let's put it there. And hello building. And save it. There we go. There's the building. See, so that's a quick example of how easy it is to get some of this stuff done. Well, let's make a calculator. Let's leave the text there for now. We'll make that 0, a dot, and I want it to be right justified. I'm trying to remember. Let's leave that alone. We won't go into too much detail. Let's do an H stack. And we'll say I want 1. Two, 22.
And what are we going to create now?
I'm just going to create a simple calculator. I'm going to press on these numbers. The numbers are I'm going to press on a number here. It's going to show up in there. I'm going to press an operand, so the plus button. Actually, we can make these buttons. Why am I not making them buttons?
So we make calculator, the
I'm
basic
going to
one.
try. We're going to skip that action part, that code part for now, but we're going to put a label there. We're going to call that 1.
So as we see on Xcode, we like write code and immediately we see how it goes in iPhone. So it makes our
Yeah.
code
Mhm.
easily,
Yeah.
more visual.
Yeah, and you can see now that I made it, I should have made it a button to begin with. Now that the button is, you can see it's clickable. You can click it, and I can say here we can show this. This is the console. We can have it print.
And right now I'm looking on Swift UI and I
Mhm.
can say that I understand what you wrote because it's kind of the easiest syntaxes of the code. So you just say print.
Yeah, this is just a debugging thing. People print statements. This is not something we'll keep. This is just to show that the button's working. So now that I know the button's working, I can make a bunch of them. And this is not going to be a very pretty calculator because we're not designing it right now. But this gives you the basic. This will give you the put a little space there. That's a little too much space.
We have a question here. Someone raised hand. Yes, please take the floor.
Marquette, please answer. Please ask your question.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this, and I've spent some time in Xcode. But my question is, would you consider the syntax similar to like coding in like what language would you consider it closer to coding in? As far as
That's
like
a good question. Yeah, I think I'm going. I mean, the language Swift and the framework Swift UI are two different things. We code in the Swift is a language. Okay, Swift UI is this H stack, V stack, all this stuff. And this is more similar to web development that I've seen. Modern web development. I don't have specific frameworks I could reference because I haven't done much web development, but this is more like web development than anything else. If you go back to UI kit stuff, which is what I learned how to do back in the day, and with that moved from Objective C to Swift, and then now here to Swift UI. UI kit is a different paradigm. It was based on the tools that were available then. Basically, it was a ramp up of the tools they bought when Apple bought Next. I don't know how many people remember that. That was the company that Steve Jobs founded after he got kicked out of Apple the first time, and they ended up buying Next and him back. So yeah, that's how that went. He brought the tools and the talent with him, and they basically converted that into a new version of Mac OS and brought the development tools along with them. The Swift UI stuff is relatively new in the last few years. It has evolved greatly in 5 years. There have been changes pretty much every year, and sometimes they're significant. The change from Swift 2 to Swift 3 was pretty significant, and there's some concurrency, basically multi-threaded programming stuff in Swift 5 and from 5 to 6 that is causing a little controversy. I don't want that to be a button. Hold on a second. Anyway, did I get to your question, Market? I'm sorry. I think I rambled there for a bit.
No, you did. I just because I was trying to understand like what it would be closer to, because I know they changed from like Objective C to Swift, and then from Swift to Swift UI when they made their whole announcement. So I'm just curious what it related to.
I will say this: Objective C stuff still works. I have some Objective C stuff that still works. I tested it and it works. It's worked for years without any modification. The Swift stuff that I did in UIKit also works without much modification. So that stuff's still valid. Now, whether it's going to remain that way, especially Objective C stuff, is to be determined. you know, Apple has made it very clear that Swift UI is the future of development on its platforms, and that's the direction you, especially if you're starting out, learn Swift UI as best you can, and pick up the other stuff as you need to. If you see someone, I see a lot of job listings that say Objective C, Swift UI. It's like, really, I don't think you need all of that, unless you've got a really old code base, in which case you might need that. So
Thanks.
that didn't answer your question either, did it?
No, it's good enough. I have a good understanding of it. It's just I hadn't played around with it yet, so I just was curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I've got opinions. Believe me, it's you know, I've been in this industry long enough that I've watched a lot of stuff come and go. For a while, Apple wanted to use Java as a first-class language. That lasted about a year. I didn't think Swift was going to last that long, to be honest with you, but it has, and it's. I think when they released it, it was not ready, but that's what they had to do. They had to release it to make it work, and it's turned out that that's the case. And I think it's evolved into something pretty cool. And you know, there's a Swift evolution. I forget how to get to that. If you search for Swift evolution, you'll see a message, basically a community of people that are making proposals for changes in the Swift language. And it's interesting to see what kind of things people propose. It's you know, for the kind of work I've been doing and the kind of work that most people do, it's probably above their pay grade. But it's fascinating to see what people want to do. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. All right, are there any other questions? Okay, where's my equals button? Oh, preview pause. Sometimes this happens. The previews will stop. You press this little button here, and they come back. So here's my calculator. It's lame. What can I tell you? So we know all the buttons work because we can see it in the console down here. So now we want to make the buttons do something. And in order for them to do something, we need some variables. And I'm going to call them at state. That just means that when you change them, what did I do? Oh, let me do here. Var. Right. I knew it. I always mix up where to put that. That's my fault. That's years of doing things a different way. That should be a. Let's make it an. We're just going to add integers. How's that sound? Right. The display should be a string. Sorry, string, because we're going to put it inside. We're going to put that inside of this text view. There, we're going to say operand. And I'm making. I don't know if those need to be states, but we'll make them state variables anyway.
So as we can see, the Xcode, if we make any mistake, he also it also tells us what the error is exactly.
Yeah.
Like here, missing arguments, yes.
Yeah, it's telling me. Well, it's telling me that this preview is not going to work because I don't have. So I don't have these arguments initialized. So we're going to do that now. We're going to create initial values for them. And we'll. Yeah, this is not a lot of the. I wouldn't call this good. All this good programming practice or anything. Just keep that in mind. And to initialize things, if I wanted this to start to be 1,000, it could be. but it doesn't show up in the preview because it just wants to make sure that we do that correct. All
Make
right.
it clear, the course iOS developer starts with learning Swift UI syntaxes.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I'm going a little fast here, I know. All right, so we got these initial operands. We need an operator too. You know, we don't need, these don't need to be states. And we'll make it a string. And that's equal to a blank string because we're not doing anything. Oh, can't call it operator. We'll call it op. We call it op. Yeah, I was warned by Swift or by Xcode that operator is a reserved word. I can't use that as a variable name. So bad programmer. Sorry about that. We have plenty of time here. Okay. And we're adding integers, so we don't need the dot. And that should be, that text should be displayed. So now if I make this 1,000, it'll change. There, see? All right. So let's go ahead and if
so we change numbers and our calculator gives us the result. That's how it works. Oh, that's great. So let's move on.
I'm moving on. I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to remember the best way to do this. We can see if that works. Now I've changed that button to actually do something. Oh, look at that. All right, we'll leave that for now. We'll copy and paste that and put it here and change it to 2. So, all right. And we want to get rid of that 0 at the beginning, so we're going to do that. And notice how these things get moved around and lined up, which is nice. And again, this is not optimal programming. I'm sort of just winging it here. I would do this differently if I were actually writing an actual calculator. And we will do the same thing here. And now, okay. And now we have to account for the plus button, and that's going to be interesting logic. So it's been a long time since I've done a calculator. This is probably not going to be ideal either, but it's okay. I just trying to demonstrate you could add 2 numbers and put them in that's display if
as we see, like in profession developer, we can make coding and we can have bugs, and we should always be ready to make troubleshooting and to find where is our bug and what's wrong with our code. And it's always like learning something new.
Operand 1 should not be able to be nil, because I've declared it up here. All right, well, I guess it gets us into Swift type safety kind of all right, that's not gonna work either. I don't know, I might give up. It's kind of a I'm getting into the weeds here. I don't want to drag you guys here with me, but you get the idea, right? Does this make sense? We want to be able to do this, press the plus, and be able to have more numbers. Let's do the thing. Let's just clear the display first. Okay, that's fine. Can't assign. There's another problem. Self is immutable. It's not immutable. I declared it up here as a variable. All right. This is a good lesson to teach you all. Live demos don't always work, and honestly, I may have to abandon our effort here, but you know, this is a good exercise for you guys to try, is to see if you can do that. See if you can do what I have been unable to do live in front of you. I apologize for that. It seems like I think we're going to run out of time before I'm able to actually finish this. What I could do is I could finish it and put it up on my GitHub instance for you to look at if you want me to. Does anybody want me to do that? I'm not seeing hands. All right. I might do it anyway. There we got someone who wants me to, so I will take a look at this after the webinar tonight, and I'll go ahead and put that up on my GitHub for you guys to get. And now we got I think we go back to the presentation. Yeah, then not as simple as I thought it was. Yeah, that's another lesson. It's never as simple as you think it is. Now it's time for questions. We have about 10 minutes left, Mary? Is that right? I guess so. Who else has questions for me? We covered a lot of topics today.
So I see your emails in chat, so I will send you yes the recording, guys, and till we are here online, please like take your opportunity to ask questions online to Alan, so he will answer. And while you're thinking about your questions, let me proceed with the other slides.
Okay, I'll go ahead and stop sharing then.
Yeah, thank you. And when you remember your questions, when you think about your questions, just let me know and ask them Okay, great. So I'm sharing the screen. And let's move on. Here am I. On this slide, we see the salary for iOS developer. Of course, it depends on the state where you are and about is it full-time or part-time or fully remote, and so like these options. But here is the base salary based on Indeed side, and also you can check LinkedIn, for example. So I guess that this should be your motivation while studying the course. And you see that we started the group in August 13. And in our group, we have only like 10 people who can like join this group. So there are only 10 places. And we still have few of them. So you can join and start on August 13. And it's our 6 months journey towards like iOS developer profession. And you participate in live session 3 times a week. So you can ask questions, and all the sessions we also record, and then you can rewatch the lesson and ask questions also in Slack. It's a messenger which is often used in IT, so like WhatsApp, but we use in IT Slack. So we will have also their group. We have our group there in Slack. So if you watch the recording, you can ask questions in Slack. And also after the course, after 6 months, our students join a project. It's real American project in order to get more practice. Like, you know, when you're just like graduated from the course and you immediately go to the market, it's kind of scary thing. So we give the opportunity to have internship to to get more practical skills and then go to the market. And in this internship, we also have mentor for you who is supporting you in your tasks, in your troubleshooting, with your code. So you join the internship, get practical skills, and after that you go to the market. Here is the schedule, and we use like Pacific time zone, so it's 6 p.m. Pacific time, and the duration of the lesson is 1 hour or maybe 1.5. And you can see the curriculum, the program, yes, of the course. So you can see that we have theory and we have practical lessons. And just pay your attention, please, that we start our course for those people who are from scratch. So you don't need to like have experience in coding with Swift UI or something like this. You can start a course from scratch, but if you have any experience, maybe in working with JavaScript or I don't know, any other languages, programming, that will help you, of course. Yeah, so this knowledge will help you in learning iOS developer profession. But if you don't have any experience in IT, that's be okay, because our program is for those who are starting from scratch. We will start with theory and with learning Swift UI syntaxes of the language, and then we will practice, and then we will move to creating apps from something basic, as we did today with calculator, to something more difficult, more advanced. So guys, here you can see special offer. It's discount for those who are participants of our today webinar. To book this price, just scan our QR code, or you can just make print screen. And by making this print screen, by scanning this QR code, it doesn't mean that you pay immediately. It means that the manager will contact you and you can ask questions about organization moments about the course, the curriculum one more time, or something like this. Tell about yourself, for example, yes, to manager. So she will answer you like she will help you to decide, to make decision. So yeah, just take this QR code and our manager will contact you for the consultation. And after that, you can like pay the invoice and join the course. As I said, this offer is time limited. Yeah, so it's like only for 24 hours. So just like take your opportunity. And here is like questions that we hear often. So the start of the course, as we mentioned, is August 13, 6 months, 4 times per week, lessons 1 hour. So you will be able to like join the group and also work, because yes, that everyone has their job. Yes, and in the morning you go like work, job, and in the evening you can study. That's how most of our students do. And also, as I said, our lessons are live, but also we record them and you can rewatch the lesson always. And in the end of the course, we provide internship. That is the main part, because internship will help you a lot, and you will tell about your project and the interview. So they will ask like, what was your last job, what you did, what project. So you will tell about this internship, because we have few projects and you can participate in every in each of these. And yes, so you will tell on the interview about your experience in this project, about your team, and so on. And also, for the technical interview, everyone has behavior interview, and we help with these too. Our HR manager will work with every student in order to prepare your CV, prepare your LinkedIn, and prepare you for your first interview and all the behavior questions and mock interview. So it also will help you to go to the market. And today we also talked about, let's go to this slide. And today we talked about iOS developer, and about that after you got the skills of iOS developing, you can also create your own app and to sell it in App Store. So if you have any ideas, if you are creative, if you know how to make this world better and more comfortable, so you can go to iOS developer and then create something like your own app to have your pet projects, you know. So that's really nice. How we gonna teaching you? So Chinar, thank you for your question. We have 2 teachers in this course, and tomorrow you will meet the second teacher. Please join us tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time, and you meet our second instructor. So as I said, we will have online sessions where you can answer questions, you can practice, and then you go to the internship, and with the help of our HR manager, we prepare you for the interview. So that's how we work. And as you see, we have graduates who are already got their first job offer. So our system works. Just looking forward to more on this great first interaction for me. Look forward for tomorrow meeting. Thank you. Join us tomorrow. Yes, payment plans. Yes, we have. Francine, thank you for your question. We have payment plans. And just please scan this QR code if you have this opportunity, or make print screen, and our manager will tell you about payment plans for you. And also you will have this price, yes, with the which is cheaper. Will there be recording? Yes, Erkais, we record this meeting. Just please send your email on this Zoom chat, so I will send you the recording on your email. Yes, loan options. Yes, we have. Please scan QR code, and our manager will tell you about loan options. Uh, so yes, as I said, just please send me your email and I will send you the recording, and please check spam folder. Are there any questions for Alan and about coding? Please let us know. And as I said, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time, please join us for our second webinar with our second instructor. And thank you, Alan, for today meeting. It was informative and it was really like professional. So guys, please, those of you who like made it till the end with us, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And till tomorrow. Thank you, Alan, for
Yeah, thank you.
getting
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your attention.
Have a nice evening. Until tomorrow.